I told my boss to jump, and for 3 seconds, Sophia Cooper, senior partner, $2 million architect, the woman who fired people for being 2 minutes late, stood frozen on a climbing wall 40 feet above me, her $800 heels kicked off at the base, her perfectly tailored skirt restricting her legs, her hands white-knuckled on a hold that wouldn't save her if she slipped. "Jump," I said again, my voice steady, my arms open. "I'll catch you." She looked down at me. Maverick Jones, the structural engineer she barely acknowledged in meetings, the subordinate she'd never spoken to outside work hours, the man she'd just spent 4 hours with learning to trust fall, because in 2 hours she had to stand on an unfinished skyscraper 400 feet in the air or lose everything her dead father built. Her mascara was running. Her hair had fallen from its severe bun. She was shaking so hard I could see it from the ground. "I can't," she whispered. "You can. If I fall, you won't. I've got you." She closed her eyes. Her lips moved, words I couldn't hear. Then she looked at me one more time and said the 5 words that changed everything between us. "Maybe falling for you is not bad." Then she jumped. I caught her the way I'd caught wounded soldiers in Kandahar, the way I'd caught my brother when he collapsed during chemo, the way I'd been trained to catch things that mattered. Her body hit mine with force, all 130 pounds of terrified architect crashing into my chest, but my feet didn't move. My arms locked around her waist and I absorbed the impact, letting my knees bend, letting physics do what physics does when you understand load distribution and human trust. She clung to me. Not like a boss, like a woman who'd just discovered she could fall and not die. Her face was buried in my neck. I could feel her heart slamming against my chest, could smell her perfume mixed with chalk dust and fear sweat. Her fingers dug into my shoulders so hard I'd have bruises. "Tomorrow." "I've got you," I said into her hair. "You're safe." She didn't let go. For 10 seconds, we stood there in the middle of the climbing gym while other people navigated walls around us, while chalk dust floated in shafts of sunlight from the industrial windows, while the world kept spinning, and Sophia Cooper stopped being the ice queen of architecture and became just Sophia, shaking in my arms. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were red. "I haven't cried in 3 years," she said, "since your father died." "How did you—" She stopped. "You researched it." "I research everything that matters." She stepped out of my arms, wiping her face with the back of her hand, smearing mascara across her cheekbone. "This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come here. I should have just sent you to the presentation. And let Sterling win?" Her jaw clenched. "Sterling's been winning since my father died. He convinced the board I'm too emotional, too attached to legacy projects. He says I make decisions based on sentiment instead of profit. Are you? The Crown Tower was my father's last design. He died before he could see it built. If I let them cut corners, if I let them strip out his dampers and his vision and turn it into just another glass box, then he died for nothing." I picked up her heels from the mat and handed them to her. "Put these on." "Why?" "Because in 90 minutes you're going to walk onto that tower wearing those heels, and you're going to look the developer in the eye, and you're going to tell him that your redesign is the only thing standing between him and a $200 million lawsuit when that building oscillates itself apart in the first windstorm." She took the shoes. "And if I freeze up there? If I can't breathe? You won't, because I'll be with you. You can't come. The developer only invited partners. Then make me a partner." She laughed. It was sharp, almost hysterical. "Maverick, you can't just become a partner. It takes years. It takes someone who can save your building. I redesigned the cantilever. I solved the oscillation problem. I did it in 48 hours while the rest of your team spent 2 weeks arguing about wind coefficients." I stepped closer. "Promote me to senior engineer. Give me signature authority on the Crown Tower project. Then I'm not just some subordinate. I'm the man who's going to stand next to you and make sure you don't fall." She stared at me. "Why are you doing this?" "Because 14 months ago, I walked into Harrison and Cooper Architecture looking for a steady paycheck to cover my brother's medical debts. I expected to spend 2 years running calculations and sitting in boring meetings. Instead, I met a woman who redlines drawings with a fountain pen, who stays until 3 a.m. fixing other people's mistakes, who fires people for being late because she believes time is respect." I held her gaze. "You scare everyone in that office, Sophia, but you don't scare. Me. You inspire me. Her breath caught. Maverick, I'm not asking you to fall for me. I'm asking you to let me catch you, just for today, just until we save your father's building. She looked at the climbing wall behind me, then at the windows, then at her watch. We have 87 minutes. Then we need to leave now. She slipped on her heels. They clicked against the gym floor as she walked toward the exit, then stopped. She turned back. If I promote you, Sterling will say I'm showing favoritism. He'll say I'm making emotional decisions again. Let him. Because when the Crown Tower stands for the next 100 years, when it becomes a Seattle landmark, when people look at it and say, that's a Cooper building, Sterling's opinion won't matter. Something shifted in her face. The fear was still there, but underneath it I saw something else. Determination. The same look I'd seen in soldiers before a mission. Draft the paperwork, she said. Your senior engineer effective. Immediately. She walked toward me, closing the distance until we were inches apart. But Maverick, if I fall up there, you won't. If I do, then I fall with you. Her eyes searched mine. You mean that? Every word. She reached up and touched my face, just her fingertips against my jaw, so light I almost didn't feel it. Maybe falling for you is not bad, she said again, softer this time. Then she walked out of the climbing gym, and I followed her, not knowing that in 87 minutes, someone would cut the safety cable on the 47th floor of the Crown Tower, and the jump she was about to take wouldn't have any rope at all. The Crown Tower construction site smelled like welding metal and rain. Seattle weather had turned, the way it does in September when summer gives up, and fall moves in without asking permission. Clouds hung low over the unfinished building, 47 stories of steel skeleton reaching into gray sky like bones waiting for skin. Sophia stood in the site trailer, staring at the hard hat the foreman had handed her. Her hands were shaking again. I could see it in the way she gripped the yellow plastic, knuckles white, breathing shallow. Put it on, I said quietly. It's just equipment. My father was wearing one when he fell. Her voice was flat. They found it 30 feet from his body. Didn't even have a scratch on it. I took the hard hat from her hands and set it on her head myself, adjusting the strap under her chin. My fingers brushed her jaw. She didn't pull away. Your father fell because a contractor used substandard bolts on the scaffolding to save money, I said. Not because hard. Hats don't work. Not because he was careless, because someone cut corners. I tilted her face up so she had to look at me. We're not cutting corners today. She nodded. Once. Sharp. Outside the trailer, voices rose. I recognized Richard Sterling's tone before I saw him, that particular frequency of condescension that rich men perfect in boardrooms. This is a waste of everyone's time, Sterling was saying to a man in an expensive suit, the developer, Marcus Chen. Sophia's always been sentimental about her father's designs. She can't see that the market has moved on. The dampers are unnecessary expenses. The cantilever is over-engineered. Grayson International would streamline this project and turn it into every other forgettable building in this city, Sophia said, stepping out of the trailer. Her voice carried across the muddy construction yard. She'd put her armor back on. The fear was still there. I could see it in the tension of her shoulders, but she'd buried it, under 3 years of practice at being the Ice Queen. Sterling turned. He was 60. Silver-haired, wearing a Burberry coat that probably cost more than my truck. Sophia, I didn't realize you'd actually come. I thought you'd send Jones here to present while you stayed safely on the ground. Marcus Chen looked between them, sensing blood in the water. He was younger than I expected, maybe 45, with the sharp eyes of someone who'd built a fortune by knowing when people were lying. Ms. Cooper, Chen said, I appreciate you coming, but I'm going to be direct. I'm investing $200 million in this tower. Sterling tells me there are structural concerns with your redesign. He says your attachment to your father's original vision is clouding your judgment. He says you haven't been on a construction site since your father's accident. He paused. Is that true? Sophia's breath hitched, just once, only I was close enough to hear it. It's true, she said. Sterling smiled. It was the smile of a man who'd just won. But, Sophia continued, her voice strengthening, What Sterling didn't tell you is that the reason I haven't been on site is because I've been in the office running stress calculations, wind simulations, and structural analyses that saved you from building a 200 million lawsuit waiting to happen. Chen's eyebrows rose. Explain. This was it. The moment. I saw Sophia's hands curl into fists, saw her look at the tower rising behind Chen, 47 stories of steel that she'd have to climb. The cantilever design you approved 3 months ago is flawed, Sophia said. Not my father's design. The version Sterling convinced you to approve after cutting the dampening system. Without dampers, that cantilever will oscillate in crosswinds. In 5 years, you'll have stress fractures. In 10, you'll have failure. And when 40 tons of glass and steel come down on 4th Avenue during rush hour, your name will be on the building that killed people. Sterling's smile vanished. That's absurd. Our engineers reviewed. Your engineers ran computer simulations in ideal conditions. I cut in. I built a physical model. It failed at the exact stress point Ms. Cooper predicted. Chen looked at me for the first time. And you are? Maverick Jones, senior structural engineer, former Marine Corps combat engineer. I've built bridges in Afghanistan that took mortar fire and didn't fall. I know what structural integrity looks like, and I know what failure looks like. I pulled out my tablet and showed him the video I'd taken at 4 a.m., the model cantilever oscillating, bending, snapping. This is your building in the first major windstorm. Chen watched the video twice. His face went gray. Jesus Christ, he said quietly. Sterling knew, Sophia said. My father's dampers would have prevented this, but dampers cost $3 million, and Sterling gets a bonus if the project comes in under budget. Sterling's face flushed red. That's slander, Olive. You'll have me what? Sophia stepped toward him. Fired? I'm a senior partner. You'd need board approval. Sued? I have the engineering reports, all of them, including the one you buried that recommended keeping the dampers. Chen held up a hand. Everyone stop. He looked at Sophia. Can you fix it? Yes, but not with Sterling's budget cuts. You need the dampers, and you need to adjust the cantilever angle by 0.3 degrees to compensate for the wind corridor. How much? $4.2 million total. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said the words that changed everything. Show me. Take me up to the 47th floor. Show me exactly what you're talking about. If I can see it, if you can prove to me standing on that steel that your redesign works, I'll approve the budget. Sophia went absolutely still. Sterling saw it. She can't. She's been terrified of heights since her father. I'll go, Sophia said. Her voice didn't shake, but I saw her hands. I saw the way. Her pupils dilated. I saw the exact moment her brain screamed at her to run. Then let's go, Chen said, starting toward the construction elevator. I moved next to Sophia, close enough that our shoulders touched. Breathe, I whispered. I can't do this. Yes, you can. You already jumped once today. This is just another jump. Maverick, I can't. Her voice cracked. You can. Because I'm going with you. And if you freeze, I'll carry you. If you fall, I'll catch you. If you need to close your eyes and hold on to me the entire time, I don't care. But we're going up there, and we're saving your father's building. She looked up at me. Her eyes were terrified, but underneath the terror, I saw trust. Okay, she whispered. We followed Chen and Sterling to the construction elevator. It was an open metal cage, the kind that shows you exactly how high you're going, exactly how much empty air sits between you and the ground. Sophia stopped at the threshold. Chen got in. Sterling got in. They looked back at us. Ms. Cooper? Chen said. Sophia's breathing was rapid now, shallow. She was about to panic. I could see it coming like a wave. I took her hand. Right there in front of Chen and Sterling and the foreman and the 3 construction workers watching. I didn't care about company policy. I didn't care about hierarchy. I laced my fingers through hers and squeezed. Jump, I said softly. I'll catch you. She closed her eyes, took 1 breath, 2. Then she stepped into the elevator. I stepped in behind her, keeping her hand in mine. The operator closed the gate. The elevator lurched upward, and Sophia Cooper, the ice queen of architecture, the woman who hadn't shown fear in 3 years, started to shake so hard I thought she might collapse. But she didn't let go of my hand. We rose through the skeleton of the building, past the 10th floor, past the 20th. The ground fell away. The wind picked up. The elevator swayed slightly on its cables, and Sophia made a burr sound in her throat like a trapped animal. I pulled her against me, wrapped my arm around her waist. "Look at me," I said. "Not down, not at the ground, at me." She pressed her face into my chest. Her whole body was rigid. "Tell me about the building," I said. "Tell me what your father wanted it to be." "I can't." "Yes, you can. Tell me." She took a shuddering breath. "He wanted it to be a place where people felt small in a good way, like they were part of something bigger, like the building was lifting them up, not crushing them down." "What else?" "He wanted the cantilever to look like it was floating, like it defied gravity." We passed the 30th floor. "Keep talking." "He said buildings should be honest about what they are, steel and glass and concrete, but they should make you feel something. They should make you believe in human achievement." 40th floor. "Almost there," I said. "Maverick, I can't breathe." "Yes, you can. In through your nose, out through your mouth. With me." I breathed. She breathed with me. In, out, in, out. The elevator stopped at the 47th floor. The operator opened the gate. Sophia didn't move. Chen stepped out onto the open floor. There were no walls here, just steel beams and plywood, open air on all sides, the city spread out 400 feet below. Wind whipped across the platform. "Ms. Cooper?" Chen called. Sterling smirked. "She's not coming, I told you." I looked down at Sophia. Her eyes were squeezed shut. Tears leaked from the corners. "I can't," she whispered. "Maverick, I can't." "Yes, you can, because your father's watching, and he didn't raise a quitter." Her eyes opened. They were full of pain and fear and something else, something fierce. "He didn't raise a quitter," she repeated. Then she stepped out of the elevator. Her legs wobbled. She grabbed onto me immediately, her fingers digging into my arm, but she was out. She was standing on the 47th floor. "Show me the cantilever," Chen said. Sophia couldn't move. She was frozen, her back against the elevator shaft, her eyes locked on the horizon. I stepped toward the edge where the cantilever extended out over nothing. "The problem is here," I said, kneeling down to point at the beam connection. "In high winds, this joint will flex. Without dampers, that flex becomes oscillation. Oscillation becomes structural fatigue. Fatigue becomes a metallic snap echoed across the floor." Everyone froze. I looked up. The safety cable that ran along the edge of the floor, the cable that was supposed to catch anyone who fell, was hanging loose. Severed, not frayed, cut, clean through. "What the hell?" the foreman started. Another snap, this one louder. A bolt sheared off the beam right next to Chen. "Everyone back to the elevator," I shouted. But before anyone could move, the plywood beneath Chen's feet cracked. He lurched sideways. His foot went through. He windmilled, trying to catch balance, and fell forward toward the open. "Edge!" Sophia screamed. I dove, caught Chen's wrist as he went over. His weight yanked me down. My chest slammed into the steel beam. My other hand scrabbled for purchase, found a bolt, gripped it. Chen dangled 47 stories above 4th Avenue. "Don't let go!" he gasped. My shoulder was on fire. Chen weighed at least 200 pounds. The bolt I was holding was bending. I could feel it giving way. "Maverick!" Sophia's voice. I looked back. She was moving toward me, not away from the edge, toward it, toward the terror that had paralyzed her for 3 years. "Sophia, stay back." But she didn't. She dropped to her knees next to me, grabbed Chen's other wrist, and pulled. Together, we dragged him back onto the floor. Chen collapsed on the plywood, gasping. Sophia sat back, her whole body shaking. The foreman was on his radio. "We need safety up here now. Equipment failure on 47. "Not equipment failure," I said, looking at the severed cable. "Sabotage." Everyone turned to look at the keyhole. Sterling. He'd gone pale. I would never. "You wanted her to fail," I said. "You wanted this project to fall apart so the board would force a sale." "I didn't sabotage anything." "Then who did?" Chen demanded. But I was looking at Sophia. She was sitting on the edge of the floor, her legs dangling over 400 feet of empty air, staring at the city below. "Sophia?" I moved toward her carefully. She looked back at me. Her face was streaked with tears and dust, but she was smiling. "I didn't fall," she said. "No, you didn't. I jumped, and you caught me. I told you I would." She stood up, walked to the cantilever edge, looked down at the street far below. Then she turned to Chen. The redesign works, she said. Fund it or don't. But this building will be built the right way, my father's way, and anyone who tries to cut corners or sabotage it will answer to me. Chen stared at her. Then he started laughing. You just saved my life, Ms. Cooper. The money is yours. Build it however you want. Sterling made a sound like a punctured tire. The board will do what I tell them, Chen said, because I own 40% of this building, and I just watched this woman face her worst fear to save my investment. He looked at me. Both of you. I want you both as project leads, whatever titles you need, whatever authority. Sophia looked at me. The fear was gone. Something else had replaced it. Co-partners, she said, on this project, equal authority. You'd make me partner, I said. You caught me when I fell. That's what partners do. Sterling exploded. This is insane. He's a subordinate. You can't just... I can, Sophia said, and I am. Board vote is next week. I'll have the votes. She turned to me. If you want it? I looked at her. The Ice Queen was gone. In her place was a woman who'd faced her terror and won. I want it, I said. She smiled, a real smile. The first one I'd ever seen. Then the elevator came back. Up with the safety crew, and the foreman secured the floor, and Chen made phone calls, and Sterling stormed off threatening lawsuits he'd never file. And Sophia Cooper stood on the 47th floor of her father's building, 400 feet in the air. And she didn't shake at all. The board meeting was supposed to be a war. Sterling had spent the week rallying votes, making calls, reminding everyone that Sophia Cooper was emotionally compromised, and that promoting a subordinate to partner after one dramatic rescue was reckless leadership. He'd prepared a presentation. He'd brought lawyers. He'd lined up 3 board members who owed him favors. What he hadn't prepared for was Sophia walking in with Marcus Chen. Gentlemen, Chen said, taking a seat at the table uninvited, I'm here to make something very clear. The Crown Tower project moves forward with Sophia Cooper and Maverick Jones as co-leads, or it doesn't move forward at all. I'll pull my $200 million and build somewhere else. Sterling's face went purple. You can't. I can, and I will. Because last week Ms. Cooper saved my life, and more importantly, she saved my investment. The redesign she and Jones proposed will make the Crown Tower the most structurally sound building in Seattle. That's worth more than your cost-cutting. The vote took 4 minutes. Maverick Jones was now a junior partner at Harrison & Cooper Architecture with full authority over the Crown Tower project. Sterling walked out without a word. When the room cleared, Sophia and I stood alone in the conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seattle skyline. The Crown Tower was visible in the distance, still unfinished, still waiting. You know, everyone's going to talk, Sophia said, looking out at the city. They're going to say I promoted you because we're... She stopped. Because we're what? I asked. She turned to face me. I don't know what we are, Maverick. I don't know if falling for you is professional or smart or... I kissed her. Right there in the conference room where she'd spent 3 years proving she was strong enough, where she'd fought battles alone, where she'd never let anyone see her weak. Before you keep watching, pause right here, my father told me. Stories like this don't matter anymore, that nobody cares about real trust and courage. But I think he's wrong. If you believe stories about people catching each other when they fall still matter, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. New York, London, Manila, Nairobi. Let's prove these tales reach hearts everywhere. When I pulled back, Sophia was crying again, but this time she was smiling too. Maybe falling for you is not bad, she said for the 3rd time, but now it wasn't a question, it was a truth. Maybe falling is just jumping when you trust someone to catch you, I said. She laughed, wiped her eyes, and took my hand. Come on, partner. We have a building to finish. We walked out of Harrison & Cooper Architecture together. Not as boss and subordinate, not as superior and employee, as equals, as partners, as 2 people who'd learned that the strongest structures aren't the ones that never bend. They're the ones built by people who know how to catch each other when the weight gets too heavy to carry alone. The Crown Tower was completed 18 months later. It stands 47 stories tall, with a cantilever that looks like it's floating, with dampers that will keep it standing for 100 years, with Sophia Cooper and Maverick Jones's names on the dedication plaque. On the day of the opening, Sophia and I stood on the 47th floor, the same floor where she'd faced her fear, where I'd caught Marcus Chen, where everything changed. "You know what my father used to say?" Sophia asked, looking out at the city. "What?" "He said the best buildings are the ones that make you feel like you can fly. Like gravity is just a suggestion." She turned to me. "I spent 3 years afraid of falling, but you taught me something better." "What's that?" "That falling isn't the scary part. Not falling when someone's there to catch you. That's just another way of flying." I wrapped my arm around her waist. "Then let's keep flying." And we did. Because the Ice Queen had melted, the subordinate had become a partner, and two people who'd started 3 levels apart had found their way to the same place, not by climbing, but by jumping, by trusting, by catching each other every single time. Some people spend their whole lives afraid to fall, but Sophia Cooper learned that maybe falling for someone is not bad at all. Maybe it's the bravest thing you can do. Maybe it's the only way to really build something that lasts.